Picture this: you spend hours thinking about a problem, running through dozens of scenarios in your head, trying to anticipate every detail. You're tense, focused, completely immersed in finding a solution. But the answer doesn't come. Then you give up, exhale, go do something distracting, and suddenly, as if from nowhere, the solution appears. It was there the whole time, but you couldn't see it. Why? Because worry acts like curtains, closing the windows of perception. And here's what happens behind these curtains while you're tensely staring into the darkness. Most people live their lives believing that control is strength and worry is care for the future. They think that if they stop worrying, everything will collapse, that anxiety somehow keeps their life afloat. But this is an illusion, a particularly insidious one. In reality, anxiety isn't protection. It's a prison. It locks you in a narrow corridor of perception where you see only threats, never opportunities. And when you stop worrying, something remarkable happens. Your life doesn't fall apart. It begins to arrange itself. Slowly at first, barely noticeably, then with increasing confidence and precision, as if an invisible architect finally got access to the blueprints that you'd been blocking with your fear all this time. If you're still here, please like and subscribe to the channel. This information could change how you see life. When a person is immersed in anxiety, their brain switches into survival mode. This is an ancient mechanism passed down from our ancestors who really did need to react quickly to danger, to predators, natural disasters, enemies. In such moments, the amygdala, the fear processing center, literally takes control away from the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for rational thinking, creativity, and planning. The prefrontal cortex doesn't shut down completely, but its resources are drastically reduced. You can still think, but you think narrowly in patterns within the confines of the most obvious and often least effective solutions. This is called tunnel vision. Imagine you have a flashlight that illuminates only a few meters ahead, while around you is a vast field of possibilities that you simply can't see, because the light is directed only forward, where you think danger lurks. Anxiety narrows your focus of attention to the size of that beam. You start noticing only what confirms your fears. A casual colleague's comment seems like a hint of your incompetence. A delayed text response, a sign of cooling feelings, a small failure, a harbinger of disaster. A brain in anxiety mode searches for threats, and it finds them even where they don't exist. This is called cognitive distortion, and most people don't even suspect how strongly it controls their perception of reality. Few people know that anxiety physically changes brain chemistry. When you worry, cortisol, the stress hormone, is released into your bloodstream. In the short term, it helps you mobilize, but with chronic stress, cortisol becomes toxic. It disrupts the work of the hippocampus, the area responsible for memory and learning, slows the formation of new neural connections, impairs your ability to absorb new information. You literally become less intelligent, less creative, less capable of seeing the exits right in front of you. Additionally, cortisol suppresses the production of serotonin and dopamine, neurotransmitters responsible for feelings of well-being and motivation. That's why in a state of chronic anxiety, everything seems grey, hopeless, complex. This isn't reality. It's your brain chemistry painting the world in dark tones. But here's what's truly astonishing. When you stop worrying, all these processes reverse. Your parasympathetic nervous system activates, the part of the autonomous system responsible for relaxation, recovery, and healing. Your heart rate slows, your breathing deepens, your cortisol levels drop, your prefrontal cortex returns to the forefront, and you regain access to functions that were blocked. The ability to see a situation holistically, notice details, generate unconventional ideas, make balanced decisions. It's like suddenly turning on the lights in a dark room and discovering that the door was open all along. You just weren't looking at it because you were looking the wrong way. There's a hidden reason why everything starts to fall into place precisely after letting go. It's because worry is a form of resistance to reality. When you worry, you're internally saying, "I don't accept what is. I want things to be different, and I'll fight." This struggle consumes a colossal amount of energy, psychological, emotional, physical. You invest your strength not in action, but in resisting the very fact of uncertainty or an undesirable situation. And while you resist, you get stuck. You're like a swimmer fighting against a current. The harder you paddle against the water, the faster you exhaust yourself, but you stay in place. When you stop paddling and let the current carry you, you suddenly discover that it takes you exactly where you need to go, or reveals a shore that you couldn't see while you were struggling. This isn't mysticism, it's the psychology of attention energy. Wherever your attention is directed, your energy flows, and wherever your energy flows, your life follows. When you focus on fear and control, you invest energy in what you don't want. You think about a bad scenario, replay it again and again, emotionally live through it, and your brain perceives this as rehearsal. Neural pathways associated with this scenario strengthen, and you unconsciously start acting in ways that make it come true. This is called a self-fulfilling prophecy. You fear failing a presentation, and anxiety makes you forget key points. You worry your partner will leave you, and this worry makes you clingy and repellent. You're anxious you won't find work, and in the interview, you look uncertain. Anxiety doesn't protect you from failure. It brings it closer. Now imagine the opposite. You release control. You say, "I did everything I could. Now I trust the process." Your attention is freed. Energy stops flowing into the black hole of worry and begins distributing naturally, where it's genuinely needed. You notice opportunities that were invisible before. You meet the right person. You get an unexpected offer. You find a solution that never occurred to you while you were thinking intensely. People often call this luck, coincidence, fate. In reality, it's simply the result of your perception expanding and you finally seeing what was always nearby. Psychologists have discovered a striking pattern. People who practice acceptance and trust more frequently encounter what's called synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that seem too precise to be random. Carl Jung described this as a connection between a person's inner state and external events. Skeptics explain it through selective attention. When you're calm and open, you notice more, and what would have passed you by before now takes on significance. But the point isn't in the explanation, it's in the result. Life really does arrange itself when you stop trying to piece it together frantically. But here's what's most surprising. Behind the apparent simplicity of "just stop worrying" lies a complex mechanism, and it's connected to how your unconscious works. Your conscious mind is just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath it lies a vast mass of unconscious processes that process information, find connections, generate ideas without your conscious participation. When you intensely think about a problem, you engage only your consciousness, and it's limited. It can hold only 5 to 9 elements in focus simultaneously. But when you let go, your consciousness recedes and your unconscious takes the stage. It begins working with the problem at a deeper level, connecting what consciousness couldn't connect, seeing patterns that remained unnoticed. This is exactly why the best ideas come in the shower, before sleep, during a walk, when you're not thinking directly about the problem. You give your unconscious space to work, and worry blocks that space. Anxiety is noise that drowns out the quiet voice of intuition and deep knowledge. When you calm down, the noise subsides, and you can finally hear what your unconscious has been trying to tell you. Many great discoveries and solutions came exactly this way, not through hard work and worry, but through relaxation and trusting the process. Consider specific examples. A person loses their job. First reaction, panic, anxiety, frantic attempts to find anything, sending out dozens of resumes without thought. accepting any conditions out of fear. Result: either rejections or a job that doesn't fit, that drains and disappoints. But here's another scenario. The person allows themselves to exhale. Yes, the situation is unpleasant, but panic won't help. They give themselves time to understand what they really want, what their strengths are, what opportunities interest them. They don't rush around but move consciously. And suddenly, a call from an old acquaintance with an offer they hadn't even thought about. Or a chance conversation opens a door to a new field. Or time without work creates space for a project that later becomes the primary income source. This isn't magic. It's the result of calm opening them to intuition, flexibility, and attention to opportunities. Or relationships. A person fears loneliness, clings to their partner, constantly seeks confirmation of love, controls, feels jealous. The more they worry, the more they suffocate the relationship. The partner feels the pressure, starts to distance themselves, and the fear intensifies. A closed loop. But if they let go, accept, if this person is with me, wonderful. If not, then that's what needed to happen. Transformation occurs. The suffocating energy of fear disappears. The partner feels freedom and starts moving closer again. Or the relationship truly ends, but space opens for someone who truly fits. Most people hold on to what they should release, out of fear of emptiness. But emptiness isn't an ending, it's space for something new. Or health. A person experiences symptoms, starts to worry, Googles diseases, winds themselves up. Anxiety intensifies symptoms. Psychosomatics are real. The body responds to stress and symptoms become more pronounced, which intensifies fear. A spiral. But when they stop panicking, calmly see a doctor, trust the process, accept that their body is fine, or that treatment will help, the body responds. Stress decreases. Symptoms often weaken or disappear. This doesn't mean the illness doesn't exist, but anxiety was intensifying it, and calm creates conditions for healing. However, reality turns out to be even more complex. Releasing worry isn't passivity, and it's not indifference. This is the most common misunderstanding of this principle. People think, if I stop worrying, it means I don't care. It means I'm giving up. But this is a false dichotomy. You can act without worry. Moreover, action without worry is the most effective action. When you're calm, you see more clearly, think more precisely, make better decisions. You don't rush around, but move purposefully. You don't waste energy on worry, but direct it towards steps. This is called action from a state of presence, not reaction from a state of fear. Eastern philosophy has taught this principle for centuries, calling it non-action, Wu Wei in Taoism. This isn't inaction, but action that flows naturally, without tension, without violence to yourself or circumstances. It's action in harmony with the moment, not against it. Western culture long ignored this approach, exalting will, effort, and control. But modern psychology is starting to reach the same conclusions. Effort matters, but tension is destructive. You can be active and simultaneously relaxed. You can strive toward a goal and simultaneously accept the path. You can desire a result and simultaneously not be attached to it to the point of anxiety. And then something unexpected happens. When you act from calm, results come easier. Not because the universe rewards you, but because you're more effective. You don't make impulsive mistakes. Don't make decisions from fear. Don't waste energy fighting what can't be changed. You focus on what's in your hands and do it well. Psychologists call this locus of control, the distinction between what you can control and what you can't. Anxious people try to control everything, including the uncontrollable, and exhaust themselves. Calm people control only their own thoughts, actions, attitude, and this gives them real power. Few are able to understand this, but the key difference between worry and care is precisely here. Care is attention to what's important, and actions to support it. Worry is obsession with control and fear of the uncontrollable. A caring parent teaches a child, creates a safe environment, but doesn't try to protect them from every possible fall. An anxious parent keeps them on a tight leash, controls every step, and the child either grows up helpless or rebels. The same logic applies to your relationship with yourself and your life. You can care about the future without worrying about it. You can plan, but not cling to the plan. You can strive, but not fall apart if the path turns out differently. There's a deep truth about human nature that most people discover too late. You're not as fragile as you seem in moments of anxiety, and not as powerful as you'd like to think in moments of control. You're part of a larger process, a flow of life, where millions of factors influence outcomes. Your actions matter, but they're just one of many variables. Accepting this isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It frees you from the unbearable burden of total responsibility for what largely depends on more than just you. And paradoxically, this very liberation gives you the power to influence your life as effectively as possible. Psychologists studying post-traumatic growth have found that people who've experienced serious crises and emerged stronger share one trait. They learn to let go of the illusion of total control. They understood that life is unpredictable, that plans collapse, that much depends on circumstances. And instead of hardening or breaking, they became more flexible. They stopped fighting uncertainty and started dancing with it. This isn't surrender in a passive sense, but active acceptance of reality as it is, and working with what exists, not with what should exist. And precisely this flexibility allowed them not just to survive, but to find meaning, new opportunities, depths they never knew before. There's a deep truth hidden here about human nature. We grow not through control, but through acceptance, not through tension, but through relaxation into uncertainty. Worry is the psyche's attempt to protect itself from the unpredictable, to prepare for all threats. But life is too complex to anticipate everything. And while you try, you get stuck in planning paralysis, where action is replaced by endless preparation and worry. When you let go, you start moving. Not perfectly, not flawlessly, but really. And movement, even imperfect, is always more productive than a perfect plan that paralyzes you. Finally, it becomes clear why wise people throughout history spoke of letting go as the highest form of strength. Because real strength isn't the ability to control the external, but the ability to maintain inner calm, regardless of the external. This doesn't mean not feeling, doesn't mean being cold. It means feeling, but not being enslaved by feelings. Acknowledging anxiety, but not letting it control you. Desiring a result, but not destroying yourself without it. This is a balance that doesn't come immediately, but when you find it, it transforms your life. So what happens when you stop worrying? You reclaim the energy that was draining into the void of fear. You free your perception from tunnel vision and start seeing opportunities. You give your unconscious space to work with problems at a deeper level. You stop resisting reality and start moving with its flow, not against it. You activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which restores, heals, and harmonizes. You become more flexible, wiser, calmer. And this isn't weakness, it's the highest form of strength. And here's what's important to understand. This isn't a one-time fix. It's a practice. Daily, hourly, sometimes minute by minute. Because life will keep throwing situations that provoke anxiety. That's normal. The brain is designed to seek threats to protect you. But you can learn to notice anxiety, acknowledge it, and consciously choose. Now I'll let go. Now I'll exhale. Now I'll trust. This doesn't mean everything will suddenly work out, but it means you're creating conditions for life to arrange itself. And that's quite a lot. Everything will work out when you stop worrying, not because the universe owes you help, but because you finally allow yourself to see, think, and act from a state of clarity rather than the fog of fear. You stop being your own main obstacle. You open the door that you yourself closed, and behind it, not a guarantee of a perfect outcome, but the possibility of real life, which until now you've been observing through the murky glass of anxiety. If this resonates with you, think about this. What if right now you exhaled and released just one worry that you've been carrying? Not solved the problem, not found the answer, just released it for a moment. What would change in your body, in your breathing, in your thoughts? Try it. Right now. This won't solve everything, but it's the beginning. The beginning of the path to a life that arranges itself not despite you, but because of your inner world. And if this video helped you take this step, please like and subscribe to the channel. There are many more topics ahead that will help you better understand yourself and the life around you.